Just a few months ago, anti-gun Democrats in Virginia thought they'd easily ram through a new ban on so-called assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Now, after all, in November, they won control of both houses of the state legislature, first time in 20 years. And Governor Ralph Northam was supporting this bill, of course, with the phony argument that rolling back the gun rights of law-abiding Virginians would make all Virginians safer.
This issue generates great emotion, but the facts are the facts. Gun violence takes the lives of more than 1,000 Virginians every year. 3 people every day. At that rate, everyone on the floor of this chamber would be gone by March.
I love the dramatic pan of the chamber by C-SPAN. Now, remember, this is the brilliant logic of the same guy who argued that infanticide is basically a human right. This was all his attempt keeping this train of thought there, to keep all you gun owners comfortable. But Northam wasn't ready for the pushback, was he? The opposition made sure that their voices were going to be heard, and boy, were they heard. You know, the deplorables, the bitter clingers.
Don't target the law-abiding citizens.
In this country, if you're a citizen, if you're born here, you're allowed to protect yourself.
We don't want gun control. We're not going to comply with your gun control.
You would have a better chance of laying in a creek and kissing a copperhead than you would getting the firearms from Virginians.
Well, the liberal gun grab went down in flames yesterday with the help of 4 moderates in Northam's own party.
If you went out and legally purchased a weapon or legally purchased a particular part, just simply by owning that, you could become a Class 6 felon or a Class 1 misdemeanor. It's not fair, it's not due process, and that was what really bothered me the most.
And it's important to note that this grassroots uprising was successful despite the millions that have been pumped into the Commonwealth from out-of-staters, like Democrat presidential candidate Michael Bloomberg. Through his group, Every Town for Gun Safety, he funneled $2.5 million into Virginia last year to elect anti-Second Amendment Democrats. Every Town outspent the National Rifle Association, which is based in Virginia, by a factor of 8 to 1. Bloomberg even made a last-minute visit to the state to make one final push for the gun ban.
For the first time in more than 25 years, Virginia Democrats took control of both chambers of the legislature. And I'm happy that they won, but I'm even happier about what they've done. It's only been a month since they took office, and already you've taken action to end our epidemic of gun violence.
By the way, that's Bloomberg sounding pumped up. This is how some locals greeted him. Now, since 2014, Bloomberg has spent $75 million attacking the NRA and your gun rights. And he's had his sights set on Virginia for years. He's thrown $10 million at Democrats in the state since 2011. But it turns out there's still a lot of Jeffersonian spirit left in Virginia. Their Second Amendment rights aren't for sale.
He can take his money and he can keep it in New York. Virginia doesn't want his money. He's already tried to New York, Virginia, and we're done. We don't like it at all. And that's going to happen across the country.
Well, I sure hope so. But Bloomberg and the rest of the anti-gun forces in America won't let this defeat stop them. No way. Governor Northam is already promising that the gun ban is going to be reintroduced next year. But what happened in Virginia yesterday shows that when we, the people, argue the facts and we stand united for a noble cause, we can overcome the corrupting influence of money and leftist ideology. But imagine if Bloomberg ever got real power on a national level. He'd learn the lesson of Virginia. He'd move a lot more swiftly against the Second Amendment rights of all Americans before the resistance could actually mobilize. And he'd sell it all as gun safety measures, which translated means you have less power and the government more. But a lot of those big gulp drinking Americans he has such little respect for, you know, the ones who drive pickup trucks and actually mow their own lawns, they're on to his big money tricks. A Bloomberg nomination is guaranteed to do at least two things. One, motivate the Republican base, and two, drive up the price of Smith & Wesson's stock. And that's the angle.